Jason began his work with CUTR's Transportation Demand Management Team in 2008, working on various local pedestrian and bicycle safety programs, including Safe Routes to School and the original WalkWise Tampa Bay program. In 2015, Mr. Jackman joined CUTR's ITS Traffic Operations and Safety Team to help manage Florida's pedestrian and bicycle strategic safety program and continue to build the WalkWise Florida program. He is a league cycling instructor with the League of American Bicyclists, and his ambition is to help solve real-world transportation problems through applied research, innovation, and advocacy. And with that, I will hand things over to Mr. Jackman.
Thank you, Kristen. Appreciate it. Very happy to be here presenting the WalkWise Florida program. So WalkWise Florida is funded by the Florida Department of Transportation and managed by the Center for Urban Transportation Research. And one thing about this program, it's so unique to the presentation style. We've all been through presentations before, safety presentations. And what WalkWise does is really captures that audience participation and keeps them engaged, and that's what's really exciting about it. So this is the quick overview of the agenda. I'm going to discuss the program a little bit, what it's about, and the history, and various program details. Just maybe if you want to get started on your own program or similar education programs, maybe this will help you keep that audience engaged and keep them coming more for presentations in other communities. And then there's the evaluation side of it that I'll talk briefly about. Okay, well, question one. I have actually a few questions for you before we get started. In which year did the WalkWise program begin in Florida? So was it 2009, 2010, 2011, or 2012?
And then, Jason, I'll just jump in real quick here and just tell everybody that for all of these, there's a total of 6 poll questions. You'll just quickly just hit the radio button located next to the date of the year.
Thank you. Okay, so it looks like everyone has answered the poll question, or basically the question. The answer is actually 2010. We did somewhat of a pilot program with the WalkWise Tampa Bay program, and that's where it originated from. And then we'll move on to the next question. Okay, in Florida, which group accounted for a higher percentage of pedestrian and bicyclist fatalities each year? So this is kind of a recent percentage too, as of 10 years. Okay, looks like responses are coming in. Okay, looks like responses are in, and the answer is adults. So adults accounted for a higher percentage of those pedestrian and bicyclist fatalities each year. Teenage groups also account for those rates too, and there are fatalities and injuries with children as well, but for the most part, the large percentage goes with the adults. Okay. And sorry, I wasn't moving that forward. Okay, next question. So pedestrian and bicycle crashes occur more frequently during the morning, afternoon, or evening. What do you think the answer is? Okay, so it looks like everyone has voted on their answer, and the final answer is in the evening. So basically, when it's dusk or low light, in the dark, the crash risk increases for pedestrians and bicyclists together. And each year, it's around 60% of those fatalities occur in the evening. Sorry. Okay, so again, a little bit about the WalkWise program. Now I'll give you some areas of what time of the day pedestrians and bicyclists are involved in crashes, and other background about WalkWise. But for the most part, WalkWise was funded originally in 2010 by the Florida Department of Transportation in District 7. So that's the Hillsborough, Pinellas County area. And it was managed by CUTR. And basically it was a pilot project to provide pedestrian safety education to residents in the Tampa Bay area. And why is it unique? And I guess it's just the education that captures that audience data. So we do collect data, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But we provide presentations, business sweeps, and different outreach events. And it has moved not from a local program to a statewide program. So we're in multiple counties around the state, and it's going very, very well. It's received just as well as it was the local program. And again, WalkWise Tampa Bay is still a current program. And again, we're excited to take that knowledge of the WalkWise Tampa Bay and apply it to the WalkWise Florida because it works so well. So here's a map of Florida's pedestrian and bicycle focus initiative, and they rank these top 25 high priority counties to work with. And WalkWise uses this map to really reach those counties that are on the top list of pedestrian and bicycle crashes. So if you have a question like how do you know which counties to go to or where to go to, we look at this map, which is generated through the crash reports, and we are able to determine where the focus is going to go for the year when we present to the program. And if you look at the highlighted in yellow, those are the counties that we have worked with, and that list is growing over the years. And as you can see, WalkWise Tampa Bay is still going on in the Tampa Bay area in the blue. And the feedback has been, like I said, it's been well received. What I like about some of the feedback we get from our audience, and they do send us letters and emails, how much they enjoyed the presentation. But what I liked about it is, if you look at the first one, a lot of myths about these pedestrian and bicycle facts. So people are leaving our presentation knowing the facts, and it's not so much of a myth of, the rules of the road, and it's this instant education. And in the long run, that's what we're really trying to achieve here is audience education retention. We want them leaving knowing the answer rather than just going, well, I wasn't sure about that. So we do appreciate all the feedback from the presentation, the people we coordinate the presentations with, and it's nice to see that they appreciate these programs. So how does it work? It's just like any other presentation. Well, not really. It's about a 15 to 20 minute presentation, and that's where we really get these opportunities. We tell managers at businesses, schools, trade schools, anywhere we can present, nonprofits. We'll say, hey, we have a 15 to 20 minute presentation. Do you have time for us to present at your staff meeting? And majority of the time they say, yeah, we always need a presenter at our meetings, and 15 to 20 minutes is nothing. And we are able to educate a large group of people in a short amount of time, and that's just what's amazing about it. So how it works, if we don't have an experienced presenter, we'll have our staff go out, but for the most part, if it's in a far county across the state of Florida, we will have a presenter, a local presenter. We will train them. We'll train them on WalkWise, what to do for a presentation. And it's very basic presentation, but it's very informal. We have to purchase equipment. We usually have a PowerPoint already created, a general PowerPoint, but what we like about customizing it for the local community is providing pictures of local infrastructure or just something people will recognize in their own community. So we do customize that part of it, and we allow our presenters to change it up to make them feel comfortable about what they're presenting, and kind of add an edge to it as far as what they like to present. But for the most part, it is a general PowerPoint presentation. Present and network. So we do have a lot of presentations each year in our different WalkWise counties, but a lot of it's cold calling businesses, nonprofits, say, hey, would you like a presentation? But for the most part, it's networking. If you can present and get 2 presentations or 3 presentations from that one presentation that you just did, it's so much easier, and you keep the ball rolling. And usually people do want a presentation. Hey, I have a community group in my neighborhood. Can you come out and present sometime? And usually that's how it works. So the networking part is so important, especially if you have a certain goal, a number you have to reach by the end of the program. And so we give the presentation, and we tell the audience, hey, we are going to send you a post survey. It's more like a questionnaire. It's not even a survey. We're going to send you a post questionnaire and online. Would you mind filling it out? So we'll send them a post questionnaire in 2 weeks after the presentation. And yeah, and that's it. They fill it out, and we are able to really measure that audience or that retention education rate for our different groups. And that's pretty much how we evaluate the program is, did they remember what they learned 2 weeks ago? And again, that's what WalkWise is all about, that retention, education retention. The way we measure that too for our in-presentation are with the audience response systems. So we use an audience response system to really gather that data when we ask questions, kind of like what we do for this webcast. But you can take a laptop, projector, and our clickers, and we collect that data. And originally, back in 2010, we didn't have the clickers. I remember I was giving a presentation to a group, and I was asking questions, and nobody was raising their hand, nobody was participating. I mean, nobody, and it was crickets. And I think people were really afraid to say the wrong answer, which I don't blame them. Nobody wants to be wrong. So we were thinking, well, what's a good way to do this? And it's with these clickers. So a lot of universities use response clickers for quizzes and tests. So we brought it into WalkWise, and it worked really well. I mean, you didn't really have to really encourage people to participate. They already did. We provided them this slide. We said, hey, we're going to ask you questions, and you can choose by clicking the corresponding number. The last answer you select is your final answer. All answers are anonymous. So it's like this game show style. It became this game show. And participation was voluntary, so if they didn't want to participate and just watch, that was fine too. But when you made it fun, interactive, and kept them involved, that's really the magic behind the program, the WalkWise program, is these clickers. So and it continues to be really a success in that part of participation. Okay, so I have another question, and these are one of the, I'm going to give you a few questions, and these questions are some of them are based on the presentation we provide. So at the end of this presentation, if you didn't know the right answer, you'll know leaving, and you're able to see firsthand that what kind of questions we're asking. So something simple like this: bicycle riding on the road is legal. Number 1 for true, number 2 for false, or you can just click the bubbles. Okay, looks like responses are still coming in. Okay, poll is closed. Yes, bicycle riding on the road is legal. And you won't believe how many different presentations I've given personally where it's 50-50. It's split down the middle. They're not really sure, and that whole myth, it's like, oh, this is a myth. We're not really sure. I was taught not to do that. And so we're explaining the rules of the road, the bicycle laws, and people are really leaving knowing the correct answer. And again, if they didn't remember, then we send them a post questionnaire 2 weeks later. All right, next question. Question 5. All right, this is kind of a follow-up. A bicyclist riding on the road must legally ride in which direction? Ride in the same direction as traffic, ride facing oncoming traffic. Give it a few seconds. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and close the polls. And basically it's 90% said ride in the same direction as traffic, and then 10% oncoming traffic, and it is actually in the same direction as traffic. Again, this is one question that is 50-50. It's split down the middle. And then you spend a good few minutes talking about it. And it's this interaction of why they feel this way. And again, this is all participation. If they want to talk about their experience, that's fine, based on the question. But they end up leaving knowing the rules of the road and where bicyclists should and shouldn't ride. Oop, there we go. So yes, now we all know bicycles are legally defined as vehicles. They may use the full lane even while traveling substantially below the speed of traffic if the lane is too narrow or both cars for a bicycle to share. So they do fare best when they act as and are treated as vehicles. And some call this vehicular cycling. But it's nice to know that they have an option to ride on the sidewalk, on the road, and that's what we're trying to educate on. We want to get rid of these myths. You shouldn't bike against traffic. Bike with traffic. You're a vehicle. Believe it or not, we have discussions about bike lights. Bike lights are required by law. Front white light, red light on the back, red reflector on the back. So there's so many different things they learn in 15 to 20 minutes, and that's just part of it. All right, one more question, I promise. All right, in Florida, pedestrians can be ticketed and fined. True or false? Okay, I give a few seconds. All right, let's move on. The correct answer is true. And pedestrians can be ticketed and fined. Bicyclists can be ticketed and fined. And this usually sparks on a lot of discussion. And from my experience, I've been to different areas, shelters, I've been to schools, and they've all experienced this form of the fines experience. Nobody likes it. Usually when working with local law enforcement, there are different programs out there where they just don't hand out fines and say, here's your fine, you were walking not at a crosswalk. Usually there's more of an encouragement and education program. In Florida, we have a high visibility enforcement program, which encourages education for pedestrians rather than just saying, hey, we have fines and you were following the rules of the road or obeying the traffic laws. So there's different options for local law enforcement, but for the most part, yes, pedestrians and bicyclists, even motorists, can be fined. And it does vary for each county too. So I think out in California, some of the pedestrian fines can go up to the 200 range. So, and when we have visitors in our presentations, like they look at that and they go, well, you should see the fines in California. So that begs the question, does that encourage safer pedestrian travel or discourage? So, and okay, now getting to the program evaluation. This is the total from 2013 to 2017 just with the WalkWise Florida program. So we're working in multiple counties around the state of Florida. So up to 2017, we have over 11,000 ambassadors. And what we call ambassadors are attendees for the presentations. So, we basically say to the attendees, hey, you sat through this presentation, and we appreciate that. Now it's your turn to be an ambassador. Encourage your family, friends, colleagues, neighbors to walk safe, bike safe, drive safely. So we really encourage not just to sit through the presentation, but to move forward and really kind of pay it forward to those close to them and encourage safety. Again, the 2017, 572 presentations. So this is multiple counties, but again, that list is growing with not only our counties, but with our presentations and with our networking. Right after the presentation, it's just becoming more and more. So we're getting more presentations and requests for presentations in counties we haven't worked with yet. They heard about it. Hey, we heard about your presentation. Can you come to our county? So in some cases we can go, in other cases we can't, but we do try to stick with those high priority counties. The pre-questionnaire. So during our presentation, when they're using the clickers, approximately 73% of the responses are correct. So basically, it's about 73% where they're half are getting the question wrong, and then some of the questions they get 100% right. But that's just an average of all the questions. And for our education retention, when we send the post questionnaire out online, that changes. So basically, it's 92% of the education retention. So again, they're leaving knowing the right answer. 2 weeks later, they remember the right answer. So this is it's very positive, really outlook of the program, and saying, hey, people really not only like it because we do get an evaluation on the presentation and the presenter, but they are remembering it. So we have different components of the program, like as I mentioned before, not only presentations, but we go to outreach events. There's many times where we're at an outreach event, and it could be a biking event, it could be just like a kids event, a community kids event. But the idea is that we're talking to the adults there at the event, and they're able to fill out the survey or the questionnaire and just have a discussion about pedestrian and bicycle safety, and that usually happens. They'll fill out the questionnaire, and we'll show them the right answer. So again, they're leaving knowing the right answer. They're not just turning in a survey. And it's all anonymous too, so we're not collecting any of their information. But we are having that discussion, and that's the important part. I always found if you can have a discussion with somebody about safety, they're going to remember it. They're going to remember that experience. So that's what we do for our outreach events, and that's something we're really trying to do more of as well, because you reach a larger audience, and again, you can have more discussions that way. So we have on-street questionnaire opportunities in our high crash corridors. This is kind of a new program element that we're bringing in to WalkWise Florida, and we provide them the questionnaire the same as the events, the same questions as the presentations, but it's along those high crash corridors. And the way we find these high crash corridors is through Florida's integrated reporting exchange system. So we can find out where those high crash pedestrian and bicycle crashes are located in our priority counties, the counties that we're working in. And then we'll just go along those corridors and look for the pedestrians and bicyclists. If they want to fill out the questionnaire, that's fine. Usually we'll offer an incentive for them to do that. But for the most part, it's a good experience because you're educating the pedestrians and the bicyclists along those crash corridors. So you're actually getting this quality, in a way, it's quality presentation or interaction. So that's another good element we've added to WalkWise. We also have another element to the program. They're called business sweeps, and what happens is, again, we go through our FIRES program, Florida Integrated Reporting Exchange System, and we'll find those crash corridors and not only try to find those presentation locations, which is calling businesses, hey, would you like a presentation? But we'll do business sweeps. We'll talk to businesses along those crash corridors. Usually it's the manager, and ask them if they want a presentation. If not, we just have a conversation. But it's that one-on-one opportunity to talk to them, maybe get a presentation, but just providing them with safety information. And again, this is another element that can be enhanced too. Come up with creative solutions to get the community, the local businesses involved in supporting pedestrian safety. And this is just another example of a high crash corridor sweep. So really, it's something that can be done in a day or two, but you just visit multiple businesses, and we track that. We track that interaction to see, if these efforts are really showing a change, and do the evaluation. But again, this is more of a part of the program that's evolving. So that evaluation will also evolve as time goes on, and if we see a reduction in crash rates. Well, program obstacles, there's every program has them, but the best part is we try to find those solutions. And part of the issue, not issue, but obstacle is really finding these presentations. And when WalkWise first started, we heard, hey, well, what if someone organizes a meeting and invites the public for a presentation, kind of like a charrette, or kind of just like a community meeting based on safety? And it really wasn't working that way. You could probably get one or two out of that. But for our goals, we really needed more presentations. And scheduling was difficult. Cold calling was difficult. Like, nobody wants to get a call. I just got a cold call today on, I don't know what it was about. I kind of hung up. But basically, we had to find another way to schedule more presentations, and that was with connecting and networking at presentations we had already scheduled, or creating these WalkWise demos. So we would do a face-to-face interaction. If we knew there was a quality presentation around the corner, we would set up a WalkWise demo with a manager. Hey, let us talk to you for 3 minutes. 3 minutes of your time, see what you think. And so far, yeah, they love the demos. They love the idea. So I can see how calling somebody and they're picking up the phone and not knowing what to expect, or emailing. But if you do that face-to-face interaction, you can get a quality presentation out of it, and possibly more. Seasonal presentations. So Florida is very seasonal with things that happen around Florida. It doesn't matter which county. Summer is usually slow with finding business presentations, and then the holiday season is slow, and so you really have small windows to really capture and schedule presentations, and that's what you should do. You should really schedule ahead of time. Don't wait like for the last minute. Really schedule ahead of time and give yourself time to know where you're going to present. And again, it really helps with aligning not only your presenter, but really scheduling out the year. Corridor presentations. And basic corridors are the high crash corridors. Are we always going to find those corridors where we can find presentations on each block? Absolutely not. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. So we have this 1 to 2 mile radius that we try to work with. That doesn't always work out, because you have businesses that don't want the presentations. They appreciate the information and they take it to heart, but they don't have time to present to their staff or have a presentation for their staff. So we try to be creative and go outside the corridor a little bit. Go to neighborhoods, neighborhood associations, and that really works well. It really does. And finding presenters was difficult too. So that was the next thing. Finding a presenter, a good presenter, someone who's comfortable presenting in front of a group. You have to be selective. There are many companies out there that do outreach and everything, but if you're looking for very short term, 1 to 2 years, a presenter, that could be difficult. So definitely be selective with presenters, and know different traits of what a good presenter can do, and if the WalkWise or any other outreach program works out for them. Well, that's really all I have, but it looks like there are a few questions. But again, just to cap it off, the WalkWise program, I really get a lot of feedback on the program, and I think the networking and the word of mouth is a testament to the success of the program. And just I guess people like a short presentation like this one, but I think for the most part, people want to train their employees, their staff on education, especially if it's vulnerable populations or people who are dependent on walking and biking. as a mode of transportation. So it's fun. I enjoy it, and I know the presenters enjoy it as well. Okay, I guess if there's any questions.
Sure. Well, this is Kristen Larson. I'll just kind of go through the questions we have, just so everyone on the webinar knows. You'll see on your page there's a Q&A section. Just type your question into the box, and then it'll pop up, and then we will go ahead and address those questions to Jason. All right, the first question we have here is, what is the response rate on the post questionnaire?
Well, I will say this for the presentation at our locations when we're presenting to the group, we actually have a pre and post there. So we'll give the presentation, they'll give the responses, and then there's a post questionnaire at the end of the presentation. And same questions, see what that short-term education retention is, and it does increase after that presentation. So for the post survey, we get a decent response rate. We try to offer incentives through our email, or actually through our online survey, whether it's T-shirts or reflective tote bags. But it's for each year it's about, based on the participation of attendees at our events, it's close to 100 to 125 responses for our post survey. So we kind of cap that off and use that.
All right, thank you. The next question that's come in is, have there been any measurable reductions in pedestrian and bike accidents or crashes?
I know that the Florida Department of Transportation, the central office, is looking at that. The Alert Today Florida, the safety initiative, is also looking at that as well. Not only through the WalkWise program, but through their high visibility enforcement, education, and a lot of the communications programs too. So there's an overall evaluation being done currently. So I don't have that information currently. I think it's still in the process.
All right, and once we get that information, we can definitely send that out to you. We'll have a record of if you have provided your email address, we can provide a follow-up to you. All right, next question here is, what is your staff structure and total staff numbers?
Okay, so for our staff, the WalkWise program alone, we have myself, and we have a research associate here, and basically we help train and manage the program. A lot of paperwork's involved, and the bringing the data in and capturing that through our software. But it's also trying to stay very organized. So that's just internally. Externally, we have 3 presenters in 3 or 4 different counties. So some of our counties are very close to each other, and they're able to cross the county line and go present in the other county. So we have 3 to 4 or 3 presenters. We also have 2 in-kind presenters, and what that means is we have presenters in other counties where they love the program. They just want to be a part of it, and it aligns with their organization goals. So basically, they're working. They're doing with their outreach, and they provide a WalkWise presentation. So it's really an in-kind effort, no cost to us, and they're providing our WalkWise program. So we do count those presentations when they go out. We collect that data as well. And one of our presenters is housed in North Florida, but she travels all over the state. So if she happens to be in a county where we need a WalkWise presentation, she's happy to do that too. So I love the in-kind aspect, because there really is the in-kind part. They can go out and give a presentation and be a part of WalkWise.
All right, thank you. Next question coming in. Have you reached out to larger corporate businesses, such as Walmart for presentations?
Yes, for the larger corporations, the corporate businesses, we typically go to the managers and give them kind of an introduction about WalkWise because you have many of their employees that may walk, bike to work, and we found that going to the regional managers was a better approach because the approval process would be a lot quicker. So my advice is if you want to go to one of those corporate businesses, go regionally and have that discussion. Start the discussion there.
All right, thank you. Next question here is, has anything surprised you based on your outreach experience? Was there any, surprising outcomes?
I guess with the presentations part of it, when you're out presenting to a group, people are very honest. They just want to tell their experience, and I think when you have individuals telling their experience and other people are hearing it, and it's like it becomes more real to the audience as opposed to just clicking on answers. It becomes more of a applied experience. So I think that's just the more surprising thing, how honest people are with their experience.
Okay. Next question here is, do you have materials to be used in the Great American Teach-In?
Oh, with the Great American Teach-In Day, I've participated in that a few times when I was working on the Safe Routes to School program. But this presentation is more geared for adults, and so I think the only time we've had presentations for adults and children is when, for the Boy Scouts, and we present there and say, hey, this is really for adult presentations, so the parents, have to get involved and be a part of this. But no, really, this has to be used specifically for the WalkWise program when it comes to those outreach items, safety items.
All right, thank you. You've mentioned a couple of times the high priority counties in your presentation. Can you tell us a little bit more about how those counties were chosen?
Yeah, kind of like what I mentioned before. We go based on the Florida Integrated Report Exchange System, the FIRES system. So we'll look at the crash rate in each county and really focus our efforts in those high crash counties and locations. So we'll find those high crash corridors within each county. So that's basically where we start from, and we try to stick to that model.
Okay. What is the cost of the audience response systems or clickers? It seems like you had good success with those, and it might be something that others would be interested in knowing more about.
Yes. So the cost for the clickers, I would say if you're going to purchase response clickers, definitely do your research. The cost has increased over the years, just past 2 or 3 years. The software we're using. So I think they're becoming more popular, more in the cloud too. So now that they're in the cloud, you're paying more for a subscription each year, which is fine. You kind of still get those updates, but I have the really old clickers, and they work just fine. But as new technologies come out, they may become more useful and practical to use with the newer technologies. But for right now, our older clickers are just fine. I would think that when we purchased our clickers, they were, I think for a set of 50, it was around $1,200, and that's almost doubled since we purchased last. So, do your research, find out which clickers work for you, which ones, if you want the basic clickers. But we may have to eventually go to the in the cloud system. But for right now, we have a good stockpile because we have a lot of presenters out there. So know your options with clickers, with the response clickers. I know that just recently we did some research on it, and we tried to find the best way to save money and provide the same services. So we went online and see what if we can find any other used items, and we did. We found some good used clickers, and we got a nice box of them. They look brand new. So be creative with your purchasing these days.
All right, perfect. Looks like we have one last question, unless anyone else in the audience has them. If you do, go ahead and enter those now. The last question we have here is, who typically leads the pedestrian safety efforts in the cities and counties, and are the outcomes and approaches different based on who leads it?
What I'm finding is that there's this stronger approach to pedestrian safety outreach education, and we can probably attribute a lot of that to this Vision Zero movement. A lot of the cities around Florida, especially, are getting together and adopting these Vision Zero policies and saying, okay, we have Vision Zero. How do we get there? And a lot of times they'll take, it's usually a county or city and really heading this Vision Zero effort, but they'll find all the resources they can, bring them all together and say, okay, we have all the resources, now we have to reach out to the public and see what they need, do whatever we can, little pop-ups along the streets, presentations for community groups. So it's this combined effort locally to really head these pedestrian bicycle safety initiatives. So not every city's doing it, but I'm seeing this trend of, especially with the Vision Zero efforts. So, and then you have the Florida Department of Transportation, the Community Traffic Safety Team, who are involved in the Vision Zero. So, in a way, it's another avenue of pedestrian safety and bringing more people together and kind of that unified effort.
All right. Well, I think that concludes the Q&A portion of the webinar, and that will conclude the webinar for today. When we are done here, I'm sorry, Stephanie, I'll hand it off to you to kind of close things out.
Oh, that's okay. Thank you, Kristen, and thank you, Jason, so much. I'm going to open up the evaluation again. It's just a super quick evaluation. It's only 7 questions if you decide to include your contact information. I have opened it up on your end. Do take a few moments to complete that evaluation, as the feedback is very vital to not only to Jason, but also to the CUTR Transportation webcast series, as a number of the presentations over the year have been because of the audience. I would like to let you know that our next CUTR Transportation webcast is in 2 weeks. On Thursday, June 21st. It is one of our articles included in the Journal of Public Transportation. Again, a link to that is included in the link section. The title of the presentation, or title of the article, is Transit in the 2000s. Where does it stand and where is it headed? And we will have 3 great presenters from the University of California, UCLA. So again, thank you so much for attending today's presentation, and we will see you in 2 weeks. Thanks, everybody.